What would you do if you could get old and couldn't die? Do you just keep getting older and older? Now answer me. You say, well, I know I can't die, but I'm going to, obviously I'm aging. No, you're not. It's obvious to you, but not to anyone else, because there isn't anyone else. You take all of your previous memories and bring them up into a sequential time association, don't you? Okay, you bring into our associations your previous experiences. Now your reality is going to be based on the terrible things that happened to you when you were 14 and 15. That's sad. Okay, why? All of your memories are only of grievance. It's impossible that that not be so, because all of your memories are only conflictual. All family associations are conflictual. And you as psychologists ought to know better than to allow the consciousnesses, his limited associations, and verify him in your demand that you share the mutual grief. That's crazy. Okay? Wow. Now, again, I don't want to get in too far with it. That's not to say that you may not need of identity as an alkie or as a molested child. You can have any identity that you want to have, but it will not be true. If you need to look at the problem you've had in that association, for goodness sake, look at it, but don't hold on to it as your identity, or you're going to be here a long time. You can build whole nations around the grievances of the Holocaust that happened 50 years ago or 2,000 years ago. If your reality is based on defense of yourself, that's called the first covenant, isn't it? That's a statement of reciprocity. I will never forgive you, and I'm going to get even with you in some fashion. That's exactly what the perceptual mind is. But remember that it's only trying to get even with reality finally. It's trying to make a statement of itself separate from the wholeness. It constructs exchange in order to retain that identity. That is the first covenant, an eye for an eye. That's the setting up of the laws of man, right? Rhinoceroses don't set up legal codes. This is you meeting yourself coming and going, isn't it? Suddenly you see yourself in an expanded frame of reference and have to take responsibility for your environmental concerns. At that point, it would be important that you recognize that your heredity and environment are exactly the same thing. This should be a quantum leap for you guys. There is no difference between heredity and environment if everything is already past. Is that so? You are constructing, literally constructing an environment based on your hereditary associations. It's impossible that that's not so. You want to give some credit to environment and some to heredity, but finally it doesn't make any difference. Everything is heredity. It has to be if it's memory. You say, yes, but I want to be afforded the opportunity to expand my mind and my consciousness's association. Good. But where are you in a association with your determination to solve the problems of the world when they're in your own mind? You guys have been carrying the placard, ban the bomb, for a very long time. That's an admission of the reality of the bomb and the denial that you're the cause of it. I don't care where you hear this, that's a statement of fact. The bomb is banned here, then there's no bomb. You can't heal something that's out there. The acceptance that you are the cause of this war is how the war is not so, not by directing it out there and trying to change the effects of it. Now you're going to say, you're telling me not to change the effects of it. I'm not doing that. I understand that you feel the pain of your own effects. I'm directing you to the certainty that the problem cannot be solved, and you will attempt to solve it until you reach that conclusion. And you must reach that conclusion because the problem is not real. Does that make you feel good that the problem's not real? Now, as you reach a certain point in your own association, that is going to make you feel very good. Okay, at that moment, you're going to be attacked by your previous associations that think that's very bad. Why? You're simply saying the world is not real, I'm going to withdraw from it and no longer participate in it. You say, well, don't be ridiculous. I mean, you have responsibilities. You guys don't like this kind of a talk. This is lovely in the chorus where it says, you know, they're going to say, don't look up, don't look up. Don't look up. Stay down with here. You have a responsibility with us to stay in this conflict and die with us. You have a sociological responsibility, and they'll demand that you fulfill that. That's really the conflict that you're feeling. It has to be. Because you're early in this association, and there is no definitive, that is, in the sense, evidence of what's going on in your mind. We're too deep. What has that got to do? It's too late for you to do that. It's already in your mind. It's impossible that this be too early for you to do, isn't it? Does it seem like conflict to you? Yeah. Why? Guilt, what's defined, he won't like this either. What's defined as guilt is only the ordering of your own thoughts. Can you hear this? It has nothing to do with whether it's good or bad. Can you hear me? If you order your thoughts, you'll be responsible for the consequences of your thoughts. Question? If Jesus says it's hard for you to understand, there's no need for you to order your thoughts, that is, your conceptual associations. But if you do, you must assume responsibility for them. How would you not? You must be giving them value or attempt to giving them no value in your own associations. You cannot not do it. Okay? What have you done? You've assumed responsibility for what you are in your own memory. You say to me, well, how else would I live? How else am I going to exist if I don't do that? You will continue to do that until you examine the source of the problem in the need for you to order your own thoughts. This is the whole Course in Miracles. As long as you order your own thoughts, you will be the creator of your apparent universe, and nothing can stop you from doing it. So let's not pretend that something's keeping you from relinquishing this. You're not relinquishing your own thought forms literally because you don't want to. This is pure Course now. A slave to death is a willing slave. You want a sentence? Somewhere you cherish the associations that you're formulated, and there's no one that could take that away from you. Why would they want to? How could they? They're in your mind. Until you examine them, okay, you will not let them go. Now I'm teaching you the Course. Until you look at the relationship of your own self in your own mind to the things that you love and cherish, how can you possibly come to know that you love death? It has to be true. Why? It's in the power of your mind. Now we're teaching you Course. Is there another power that will help me overcome this? No, you're using all the power. But you will not make this true, guys. Why? It's not true. God suffers no conflict. There's no such thing as fear and evilness and sickness and death. It's not real. You say to me, well, we're all coming to know that. No, you're not. You're denying it. Coming to know is the denial. All spiritual paths are denials of God. Oh, well, is there a question about that? Well, aren't you giving us a spiritual path? No. I'm telling you there is no path. Yeah, but you gave us a choice. Yeah, I gave you a choice because I didn't have any alternative. Do you know how you can tell an advanced teacher of the Course from an unhealed healer? An unhealed healer will teach choice. Is there questions? I'll answer questions on that. Well, you say, well, the Course in Miracles says there's a choice. No, the Course in Miracles says there's no choice. What does it say? Choice is an impossible situation that you have placed yourself in by believing you can choose between this and something else. How many times have you guys read this in the book? All I want you to do is look at it, and that's what it says, and that's what it means. You go to all these Course groups, and we're all working together. No, you should sit down and say, well, we're all working together not to get this. Is that true? Oh, yeah, darn right it's true. You say, well, not all together. And I say, well, in what regard? Well, I'm certainly practicing all of the principles of the Course. The Course has no principles. It just has one statement. It's not a perceptual association of the values that you've given it. That's just the denial of the source. If the Course in Miracles is a scripture, is a message from God, it requires your acceptance of it in order to hear it. It cannot be gained by your examination of the source. That's what holds you in death. Okay. Is that too big a step for you? You say, well, I have a conceptual association with Jesus Christ that does not allow me to accept the Course. Really? Well, do you accept what the Course says? Insane. Well, I accept totally what the Course says, but I want to teach it as though Jesus didn't write it. This is really double nut now. Now we're into double nut. What we're going to do is acknowledge that the material is true, but deny the guy who says he wrote it and the material is. That makes no sense. You think you're not doing that, but that's what you're doing. You're studying the cause in what you want the effect to be. There's a lovely sentence in the Course where Jesus says that it has to lead to insanity. Why? It's a disassociation of cause and effect. Everybody got that? When I give you a true message, you study me instead of what I'm saying to you. You have to, because you're in association with me about what you want to hear me say in your own mind. How often do I tell you this? Just once. I only told you this once. You ought to be able to hear this. A lot of you guys can hear what I just said to you. I could have only told you this once because it's the truth. And it would be impossible that you did not hear me. The part about you that's pretending it doesn't hear this is not. That's the moment of the schism. That's a knot. Now you can hold that knotism together, okay, in time, can't you? I keep this identity in that, and you hold. But remember, the source is not. Is this too tough a message? It's the simplest message there ever could be. That's why it's not acceptable to you. It's the most difficult the message there could ever be because it's obviously the only message you have to hear. What other message would there be? God is. And you know it. And yet you deny that you do. Knowing something and denying it is obviously rank insanity, yet that must be what you're doing. This is lesson 139. Isn't it? It must be that you know what you pretend you don't want to know. Otherwise, how do you know that you don't know it? But if you say you don't know it, the thing that says it doesn't know it must not want to know it. Not wanting to know is not real. Is that in lesson 139? Yeah. You guys, you take a lunch break and you read lesson 139 and lesson 140. If any of you are still left here this afternoon after we get So you're in what? Competition with your own mind here? Yeah. How do I get out of this now? Well, it would help if you believed what I'm telling you is true. Do I have a reason to tell you this if it's not so? I see some people are saying that the Course is the work of an evil force. Okay. The study of the Course perceptually is an indication you think it might also be evil. So let's not be condemning the people that have formulated it within their own minds. Nothing is more evil in your judgment of the Course or ever could be. But remember, evil is not real. If you didn't need the atonement, I wouldn't be here. I understand that you're denying God. I'm trying to get you to admit you are so that you can see that it's not so. How else am I going to do it? You cannot not be in heaven with me. Not only that, but you cannot not be in another congruent association with me at this time, right out of time, because it's in our mutual minds. As Jesus would say, we're standing together just across the border on this. We'd have to be, we're talking about it. Well, when is this happening? Now. When are we standing on the other side talking about this? Now.